Hello guys, in this video, I'll show you how you can place this beautiful holiday house along with the trees and grass textures on top of the house image target. So let's start with the customization. For placing the house on top of the house image target, I'll first start the house image target. So I'll click on the plus sign. I'll go in before your engine image target. After this, I'll first rename this new image target to house image target. Next, with the house image target selected, I'll click on this from image drop-down, and I'll select from database. Next, I'll select our book database, and by default, as you may notice, the house image target is selected. Next, with the house image target selected, I'll move it on the left-hand side of the sun image target. Next, on the house image target, I'll add the house 3D model. So I'll go inside the asset store, and this time, from the asset store we'll be downloading to assets. So in the search field, I'll first type house. Next, I'll scroll down, I'll set the pricing to 0. As we are looking for a free asset. After this, I'll scroll down. And this is the asset which I'll be using. That is low poly holiday house. So I'll open it. Next, I'll click on the import button to import this asset. Now, before importing this model, let me share an important thing. In the future, if the developer does continue this asset or convert this asset into a paid one, then you're free to choose any other house model of your choice. This basically implies to all the assets that I'm using inside this course. If a particular asset which I have used isn't available, then you can go ahead with an alternative asset. Okay, so with that being said, I'll click on the import button to import this. After this, I'll click on the import button again. After this, I'll download a grass texture asset. So in the search field, I'll type grass texture. Now this asset is again free, so I'll change the price to 0. After this, I'll scroll down, and I'll choose this asset that has 5 seamless tileable background textures, so I'll open it. Next, I'll click on the import button to import this. I'll again click on the import button. So this second asset is also imported, so I'll go inside the assets folder. And this time we have to new folders by the name of 5 seamless, style of background textures, and low poly holiday house. Okay, so first I'll open this low poly holiday house asset. I'll open prefabs, and in the prefabs, you can see the house 3D model along with different prefabs, which are a part of this asset. So I'll go inside scenes. I'll first select this building option, which we'll use as a house. I'll drag it inside the hierarchy. Now, since the scale of this house is pretty huge, so I'll select the 3D scale tool, and I'll reduce the scale of this house. I'll move this on top of the house image target. I'll then rotate this as well, so that we can see the front side of the house. So I'll change the Y value to 180. I'll reduce the scale a little bit more. Okay, so I'm basically satisfied with this particular scale. Okay, so after this, I'll make the house model a child of a house image target. And then I'll click on the play button to test the output. So this time you can see the house 3D model on top of a house image target. Next, I'll customize this house 3D model a little bit by adding trees and grass surfaces. Okay, so I'll come off play mode. Next, I'll select this cylinder object, which is basically the base of a house. Okay. After this, I'll make this a child of the house in my target first. Next, to position this cylinder base exactly at the bottom of the house, I'll select the house target force that is building 10. After this, I'll click on these 3 dots. Next, to transform, I'll then click on copy component. I'll select the cylinder object, I'll then click on the three dots after transform for the cylinder component. And after this, I'll click on based component values. So, the cylinder component has properly aligned itself below the house image target. Okay, after this, I'll select this cylinder border. So I'll drag it inside the hierarchy again. Now this time, as you may notice, the border also has a huge size. So I'll first make it a child of the house image target. I'll this time select the cylinder. I'll copy the component values of the cylinder. I'll now select the border, and I'll paste the component values of the border. Okay, so this border object, as the name suggests, is basically surrounding a cylinder component. So after this, as I just noticed, there is some space between the house and image target. So I'll select these three 3D models, and I'll just move them down so that they are placed exactly on top of the house image target. Next, I'll duplicate this cylinder component. And on top of this duplicated cylinder component, I'll add the grass texture. So after duplicating it, I'll select the second cylinder, that is cylinder 1. And I'll limit as grass surface. Now with the grass surface conference selected, I'll increase the scale of it. After this, to this grass surface component, I'll attach the grass texture. So I'll go in Assets. I'll open 5 Seamless Tileable Background Textures folder. Next, I'll open Materials, and I'll apply this grass texture to a grass surface. So now, as you can see, the grass texture is applied to an outer cylinder, which we have named as grass surface. Now, since the grass surface component is overlapping, or it is on top of this cylinder component, so that's why we can't see the previous cylinder object. So that's why with the grass surface selected, I'll select the pushing tool, and I'll just move it a little down. So first, you're seeing this cylinder component over here. The cylinder component is surrounded by a border. And beneath that border, we have this grass office. After this, I'll add some trees surrounding a house. So to do this, I'll open the low poly house folder again. I'll go inside prefabs, and from here I'll drag the 3 components. Now I'll select the house image target. I'll copy the confident value of the house. I'll then select the climb one, which is a tree object. I'll click on the 3 dots, and I'll paste the component values of the house image target so that the tree is at the same portion of the house. But as I do this, you will notice that the tree is appearing pretty huge. So with the 3 objects selected, I'll select the 3D scale tool, and I'll radio search size. After this, I'll position the tree around the house. So I'll place the first tree over here. I'll rotate it a little bit. Next, I'll make it a child of the house a maze target. After this, I'll duplicate this tree. I'll place the second tree somewhere over here. I'll reduce its size down a little bit, and I'll rotate it as well. Finally, I'll add 2 more trees. So I'll duplicate this again. Okay, I'll change this to global. Next, I'll move 1 tree back. I'll increase its scale. And I'll duplicate this tree for one last time. Okay, now if you want, you can also select this other palm tree. Okay, so that's totally your choice. Now currently, I've just duplicated all the 3 trees from this single clamp 1 tree. Okay, so after making these changes, next I'll click on the play button and we'll check the final output. So this time, as you may notice, a house is looking complete with the trees and the grass office is okay. Now before ending this video, I think I just need to string down the house a little bit. So I'll select all the components of the house. Next, I'll select 3D scale tool, and I'll reduce the size of the house. Okay, this time if I click on the play button, Then, the house is now visible on top of the image target. But since these trees have been misplaced a bit, so I'll select the trees, and I'll move them on top of the grass texture. Finally, I'll just increase the scale of the grass texture a bit. Okay, so after this I'll check the output for one last time. So this time, as you may notice, my house game object is properly visible on top of the house and base target. So guys, after making these changes, I'll end this video over here. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any new videos. See you in the next time.